Have you ever pondered on the nature of evil? What makes a person commit atrocities that chill us to our bones? It's a question that has haunted humanity since time immemorial, stirring up a morbid curiosity that draws us towards the macabre dance of darkness and dread. True crime, a genre that documents the grim reality of human malevolence, holds a peculiar fascination. It's like peering into a dark mirror, reflecting the worst facets of our species. At the heart of this intrigue lies a stark question: what drives a human being to become a harbinger of evil? From the earliest tales of villainy to today's infamous serial killers, we find ourselves irresistibly drawn into their stories. Not because we condone their actions, but because we yearn to understand, to fathom how a person could stray so far from the path of humanity. Today, we delve into the chilling tales of some of the world's most infamous serial killers. First, we explore the life and crimes of Ted Bundy, a man whose charm belied his monstrous nature. Born in Vermont in 1946, Bundy's early life was fraught with confusion and lies. Raised believing his grandparents were his parents and his mother his sister, he grew up in a world of deception, one that would later echo in his own actions. As Bundy grew older, his charisma and good looks drew people to him like a moth to a flame. Yet, beneath this appealing facade lurked a darkness that was unimaginable to those who knew him. Bundy was a master manipulator, using his charm to lure unsuspecting victims and then subjecting them to unspeakable horrors. In the mid-70s, young women began to disappear from college campuses across the Pacific Northwest. The common thread? They were all last seen with a handsome, friendly stranger who was later identified as none other than Ted Bundy. The terror spread across several states as the body count rose to over 30, a chilling testament to Bundy's ruthless efficiency. Bundy's reign of terror ended in 1978 when he was captured and brought to trial. His courtroom antics, including representing himself and proposing to a witness on the stand, only served to highlight the absurdity of his charismatic persona juxtaposed against the backdrop of his heinous crimes. After years of appeals and denial, Bundy finally confessed to his crimes. He was executed in the electric chair in 1989, leaving behind a legacy of fear and destruction. His ability to blend into society, to charm and deceive, made him one of the most notorious serial killers in history. Yet despite his crimes, Bundy's name remains synonymous with the unsettling idea that evil can hide behind a friendly smile, a chilling reminder of the human capacity for deception and violence. Ted Bundy, a man who used his charm as a deadly weapon, continues to haunt the annals of true crime. Next, we turn our attention to Jeffrey Dahmer, a man whose crimes were so horrific they earned him the moniker, the Milwaukee Cannibal. Born in Milwaukee in 1960, Dahmer's life was marked by a turbulent family environment and early signs of troubling behavior. Animals were his first victims, but as he grew older his desires turned darker and more violent. By the time he was 18, Dahmer had claimed his first human victim. His crimes escalated in the late 80s. It was a grim tableau of horrors. 16 young men and boys fell prey to his macabre desires. Lured into his apartment with promises of money or simply companionship, they met with a fate too gruesome to detail here. Dahmer didn't just end their lives, he defiled them in death, indulging in acts of necrophilia and cannibalism that shocked even hardened investigators. Dahmer's reign of terror ended in 1991. Tracy Edwards, his intended 17th victim, managed to escape and led police back to Dahmer's apartment. What they discovered there was a house of horrors. Polaroids of dismembered bodies, a collection of skulls, and evidence of cannibalism painted a chilling picture of the man they were dealing with. His trial was a media circus. Dahmer pled guilty but insane to 15 counts of murder. He was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. However, Dahmer's story didn't end with his incarceration. In 1994, just 2 years into his sentence, he was beaten to death by a fellow inmate. Jeffrey Dahmer, a name that sent shockwaves through society, serves as a grim reminder of the darkness that can reside within humans. His story is a chilling testament to the depths of depravity that one person can sink to, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of American crime history. Lastly, we delve into the story of Aileen Wuornos, a woman whose life of hardship culminated in a deadly spree. Aileen Wuornos' tale is one that blurs the line between victim and villain. Born into a world of neglect and abuse, Wuornos' childhood was a battleground, her family home a war zone. Her father, a convicted child molester, committed suicide in prison before she even had a chance to meet him. Her mother abandoned her at a tender age, leaving her in the care of her alcoholic grandparents. By the age of 15, Warnos was living in the woods near her Michigan home, surviving through petty theft and exchanging sexual favors for food and shelter. This early life of desperation and survival set the stage for a future filled with crime and violence. In the late 80s, Warnos began a killing spree that would span over a year and claim the lives of 7 men. She targeted middle-aged, single men, usually lured under the pretense of hitchhiking. Each was shot at point-blank range, their bodies abandoned in remote locations. Warnos's case is unique for several reasons. She is one of the few known female serial killers, a rarity in a realm dominated by men. Her victims were not chosen at random. They were men who, in her eyes, represented the abuse and neglect she had suffered throughout her life. Her case also gained notoriety due to the media's portrayal of Warnos. She was dubbed the Damsel of Death, a moniker that encapsulated her tragic past and deadly present. Her story was sensationalized, her image splashed across newspapers and television screens around the world. In the end, Warnos was executed by lethal injection on October 9, 2002, leaving behind a legacy of death and devastation. But her story also raises questions about the nature of evil and the impact of childhood trauma on adult behavior. Aileen Wuornos, a woman who embodied the tragic fusion of victim and perpetrator, adds another dark chapter to our exploration of true crime. These chilling tales leave us with questions that continue to echo in our collective consciousness. They not only bring to light the darkest corners of human nature, but also the intricate webs we weave in our efforts to understand and predict such unimaginable acts of violence. The lasting impact of these cases on society is profound. They have shaped our perception of evil, making us question the very essence of humanity. These stories are a stark reminder that the most terrifying monsters often wear human faces, blending into our communities, hiding in plain sight. As we delve deeper into these narratives, we see their influence on law enforcement. The methods employed by Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Aileen Wuornos have led to significant advancements in criminal profiling. Investigators now have a better understanding of how such individuals operate, allowing them to anticipate their moves and bring them to justice faster. But it's not just law enforcement that's been affected. The ripple effects have reached far and wide, altering the way we view safety and trust in our society. The grim reality of these crimes has instilled a sense of vigilance, a constant reminder to be aware of our surroundings and the people we let into our lives. Our enduring fascination with true crime lies not in the grotesque details, but in the quest to comprehend the incomprehensible. This obsession reflects our deep-seated need to make sense of the senseless, to find patterns in chaos, to seek answers where there are often none. In exploring the lives of these notorious figures, we are forced to confront the uncomfortable truth about our own capacity for evil. The line between us and them is thinner than we might like to believe. It's a sobering reality, but one that ultimately drives us to strive for a better understanding of ourselves and others. As we reflect on these narratives, we are reminded of the complexity of human nature and the unsettling reality that sometimes monsters live among us.